movement. While supplies last, see store for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The start time has been set for Game 1 of the Dodgers playoff series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. First pitch Saturday in the best-of-5 series is 6:20 p.m. at Dodger Stadium. LeBron James will not play in the Lakers' first preseason game Saturday at Golden State. LeBron said he wants to play in at least 3 of the Lakers' 6 preseason games. At 38, LeBron will be the oldest active player in the NBA when the regular season tips off on October 24th. Clippers guard Josh Primo is doing some very important multitasking during training camp. Primo participates in mandatory therapy sessions when the team is not practicing. Primo was accused multiple times of indecent exposure in 2022 when he was with the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio District Attorney's Office is still investigating the allegations. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
On October 12, 2022, Nuri Martinez resigned from the Los Angeles City Council. This came a few days after the world heard Nuri and other elected members of the council speak disparagingly about black people, indigenous people, and others.
This white guy with this little black kid bouncing off the effing walls on the floor. There's nothing you can do.
And what participants believed was a private conversation, racism, colorism, homophobia, and bigotry were exposed like never before. The effort to undermine the political influence of black fellow citizens was specifically targeted by these so-called leaders. Everyday people stormed the doors of City Hall demanding immediate resignations. Even the President of the United States called for resignations. On Thursday, October 12th, 5 to 7 p.m., KBLA Talk 1580 will host a day of dialogue on the anatomy of anti-black racism and bigotry in Los Angeles with an all-star panel of civic leaders. Don't miss this conversation. Thursday, October 12th, live from 5 to 7 p.m. with an encore performance from 7 to 9 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Summer breeze all in my mind.
You can't say the mic is hot when this is on, because then I'm going to start singing. Don't let me start singing. I will scare everybody from this. Scare everybody away. So that's some Isley Brothers. Thank you so much for that, Miles. Appreciate that. It does make you want to ease into the day. We're going to continue this conversation about black politics with Dr. Boris Ricks. Dr. Ricks, we were talking about LaFonza Butler's appointment, talking about what it means for Barbara Lee. I'm also a little nervous that if they both run, it could be a opening. You know, we know that the polls when it was Barbara Lee, Katie Porter, and Adam Schiff, that they were, I think Schiff was the front runner. And I definitely don't want to see this Senate seat given away to we don't need no more white men in in the U.S. Senate. Right, and nothing Billion says. You know what, Dr. Ricks, one of the things that I actually pointed to your some of your research recently, when you used to talk about we need to also think about white overrepresentation, not just black underrepresentation, but white overrepresentation. White folks are overrepresented in the U.S. Senate. Do you think with this appointment of LaFonza Butler and Barbara Lee also running for the seat, do you think that that could give away the seat to white folks who already have too many seats in the U.S. Senate?
It's a great question. I'm going to respond first by saying this. Our U.S. Senate is too male, too pale, and too stale. Now, with that being said, I think that we need to have a serious as we like to say, come to Jesus conversation in the Black community as to what we plan to do here, because it is going to have major significance as to whether or not we retain the Senate seat from the great state of California. And what I mean by retain is keep it in the hands of the African American community, or we lose it to someone else by competing African American candidates running against one another. Now, we cannot judge, we cannot tell, we cannot monitor, we cannot sanction who wants to run for office. Folk who are duly prepared and entitled to do that can do such. But we certainly need to take in consideration in this case and or scenario, we have the potential to either, number one, retain the U.S. Senate, the junior Senate seat in the state of California, keep it for lack of a better term, and keep it black, or we could potentially lose the opportunity to influence that decision, and either Katie Porter or Adam Schiff could win the race. We need to seriously consider that, and I don't know if we've done it before. Closed ranks conversation amongst the fundraisers, the funders, the influencers, et cetera, and hopefully that conversation shared with the candidates, and the candidates looking at their polling numbers and what have you, can make a determination of what would be the best option.
There's so much I want to ask you. Like, what happens if LaFonza Butler decides to run? So we know Barbara Lee can't run for both U.S. Senate and U.S. Congress at the same time. So this is our lightning round because we don't have a lot of time. We know that she can't run for both seats. Could they cut a deal where LaFonza Butler stays in the U.S. Senate seat? Barbara Lee goes back to U.S. Congress and makes that her priority run, doesn't run for U.S. Senate, and it goes back, or is it already done? Can she no longer run for U.S. Congress? Because the plan was that Barbara Lee goes to U.S. Senate. We haven't even talked about the brilliant Latifah Simon, who was running for Barbara Lee's seat. So it was supposed to be black woman to U.S. Senate, black woman, brilliant black woman. Latifah Simon replaces her in U.S. Congress. But now with LaFonza Butler in that seat, could it go back to kind of what it is, and Barbara Lee retains the U.S. Congress seat from the Bay Area, from Oakland?
And in my opinion, I think, that would probably be the best option for us to maintain, number one, a congressional seat, and number two, a Senate seat. And it would, I think, shine light on the brilliance and the capacity for black women to serve in multiple roles, in multiple elected offices, and do multiple things. So this would be the best option, I think, right? However, Barbara Lee has paid her dues. Barbara Lee has been a voice for African American communities of color, BIPOC communities, LGBTQIA communities, et cetera. That's for quite some time. It's going to be extremely difficult. She hails from the city of Oakland. It has a tradition and a history of being actively involved in politics and activism and making sure the voice is heard. So one of the things that we'll probably have to do that we don't do very well, and we've seen it in races where we've had two African-American candidates who have competed against one another before, we need to have that conversation. It needs to happen behind closed doors, and nobody needs to know the contents of that conversation but those who are involved in the conversation. And hopefully thereafter, we can come back and have, number one, both an African-American woman in the Senate and maintain the congressional seat that Representative Lee currently holds. These would be my thoughts.
So those are great thoughts. I would absolutely love to have you for all 3 hours of the show, Boris Ricks, because we're kind of political junkies and there's not a lot of folks we can talk through these ideas with. Your brilliance is most appreciated. I just want to underscore, I don't know if I should call it a problem, but this is a lovely situation to have. There's just too much Black women brilliance, too much Black women brilliance. Which brilliant Black woman represents us best, right? How do we negotiate that? I also think that we should eventually, maybe you and I could write something together, write about the brilliance of the Black women's congressional delegation, the Black delegation from California. I don't know if everybody's aware of Barbara Lee and all that she's done from the Bay Area. Remember the lone no vote in that war allocation, because we have Maxine Waters down here. So we lifting up Maxine Waters. We've talked about Sidney Kamlager. We got Barbara Lee. This delegation that we have from California, I'm not a fan of many politicians, but folks shouldn't sleep on LaFonza Butler, Barbara Lee, Maxine Waters, and Sidney Kamlager is quite. It's quite a representation. It's quite a group to be proud of. And so, Dr. Boris Ricks, thank you so much for talking through these ideas. How do people follow your work?
Absolutely. Now, let me say this. I just want to follow up on, you made a great comment, but let me say this point. As a matter of fact, Black women from California have been elected chair of the Congressional Black Caucus 4 times. Which, when you're chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, you are in the leadership position of the entire caucus, and you're voted by your colleagues to lead the caucus.
That's right. The last one from California was our mayor now, Karen Bass. Absolutely, absolutely. So as you mentioned, Dr. Abdullah, there is certainly space for something to be written about the political prowess of Black women from California. That's right.
It is utterly amazing, and it is shaping the country.
That's right. So we got to move forward. How do we follow your work, Boris Ricks?
Boris Ricks at csun.edu. Send me an email, and I'm also on Instagram and etc. So let's just that will probably be the best way.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's Dr. Boris Ricks of Political Science at Cal State Northridge. Thank you so much for joining us. When we come forward, I just saw them walk into the building. They in the building, the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard. We got Henna on deck. We got Katia on deck. We got Shiraz. And, of course, Amara Keone. That's coming forward. We're going to hear what these brilliant, courageous, visionary young people are up to before they head off to school this morning.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Happy birthday, Metro K-Line. Whether traveling for business or pleasure, it's time you made today a K-Line day. The K-Line can connect you with fun, food, friends, and family from Crenshaw to Inglewood in one safe, clean, comfortable ride. Take the K-Line today and experience the diversity that makes LA such a great place to live, work, and play. Make it a K-Line day. Go Metro. Visit metro.net/K-Line.
What's up? I'm Danelle Riley, FAMU alumni and creator of the HBCU Culture Shop. I am so proud of my new partnership with Black Beyond Measure and Target. They help me elevate community pride with my HBCU designs and continue to support Black creators and entrepreneurs with Target HBCU challenges, scholarship programs, and campus collaborations. Let's come together this homecoming season and beyond. Shop my brand and discover other Black-owned products at target.com/BlackBeyondMeasure.
This season, your coffee orders are getting warmer and your outfits are getting cozier. The world keeps changing, and so does COVID-19. That's why this season's COVID-19 shots have been updated. They're one of the best ways to help protect yourself against COVID-19. You can get a COVID-19 shot at the same visit as a flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Talk to your healthcare provider to learn more and schedule at vaccines.gov. And don't forget to get extra cinnamon spice. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Venture X from Capital One is the travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears. Thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable. With Always, fear no gush.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
My name is Melina Abdullah, and we wish Dominique DiPrima, traveling mercy, blessed to be in her chair this morning. And I can't stop smiling because I got a room full of my favorite people. The Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard is in the house. Make some noise, y'all. Y'all don't sound excited at all. Why? But you're smiling, though. You're smiling, though.
We're excited. We're just tired.
You're excited and tired. Good. Then you'll be awake when you get to first period this morning. So who we got in this studio? What's your name?
I'm Amara Keone, your daughter, and
my daughter,
co-founder of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, and
yeah. Who else we got?
Hi, I'm Hannah Lopez-Spears. I'm a part of the Youth Vanguard, and I'm in 12th grade.
All right.
Hi, my name's Shiraz Lawrence, and I'm also a part of the Youth Vanguard. Yep.
Hello, my name is Gadia Lopez-Spears. I'm also part of the Youth Vanguard, and I'm in 11th grade.
Yay, so we got the whole Hamilton Youth Vanguard section in the house today. So y'all got up this morning, came all the way here in person. You didn't even do that call-in stuff. You all came here this morning before school to lift up the phenomenal, brilliant work of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard. What is the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard? Let's go to you first, Amara Keone.
Well, basically what the Youth Vanguard's purpose is to touch the minds of Black youth before, they're affected by institutional racism. So like things like the school to prison pipeline, things like the prison industrial complex are all things that affect us from young ages. So what we aim to do is to give Black students, Black youth, the tools that they need in order to
keep going,
in order to beat the system and to make it, easier for the next generation, so that eventually, we're all overcoming this system so that we can build a new system, because obviously it starts with the youth.
And you all have done phenomenal work both with young people directly and also by impacting the institution of especially schooling, right? So, Amara Keone, can you talk about the Black Student Achievement Plan that you won, the Police Out of Schools work, all of that work that you all have done to impact the way that the education system works, especially here in Los Angeles?
Well, as some of you may know, there was random searches in our schools a while ago. We also had school police stationed on campus. We still have school police stationed on campus, but they're not supposed to, because what Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, Black Lives Matter, and Students Deserve had been working for was police-free schools. We don't want students being frisked at school because obviously they say that they're random searches, but they're not random because we know who's being pulled out. And so a lot of the times Black students would be searched and sent to the dean's office or whatever it may be, have a conversation with school police because, you know, they have like hand sanitizer or Sharpies or highlighters in their backpacks or something.
Those are called school supplies.
School supplies, literally.
Right.
They would be on the syllabus. And they would be criminalized for these things that they're literally using at school. So that was why we got rid of random searches. We also got rid of school police being stationed on campus because obviously, you know, like police do not make us safer. They make white people safer. We know that like a lot of the times these school police who are actually trained as real police officers and then just stationed on school grounds are making us feel unsafe in the way where they have their hand on their gun while they're watching us walk into school. You should never be worrying about a police officer with their hand on their gun while you're walking into first period. So
it feels like a threat.
It feels like a threat, and it is a threat because there was also police officers who were pepper spraying kids, who were beating kids. There were, you know, incidents more intense in other states, but we don't want it to get to that point here. So we worked really hard so that we got school police removed from school grounds. And with that extra money left over, we were able to create the Black Student Achievement Plan, which allows for Black students to have psychiatric social workers and Black counselors, or predominantly Black counselors, who are working with the Black youth directly and making sure we're more successful. And grades have gone up since the implementation of that. Attendance has gone up. Engagement overall has gone up. So we know that like Black students need that attention because, you know, obviously we're a couple steps behind.
Because the institutions have failed you.
Right.
So not
because we lack anything, but institutionally, it's been said that we have to work 10 times harder. So we're, you know, trying to uplift one another in order to do that.
So have any of you all ever experienced confrontations or anything like that with school police? Do you feel freer with them no longer on school grounds? So Hannah, Kadia, Shiraz.
Well, I personally haven't experienced anything with school police, but I definitely feel a weight lifted off my chest. I know in middle school, we had school police on campus, and there would be searches. I don't want to say random because they're not. There would be searches, and I would just, like, wonder why there would be searches and why police is on campus. It's always, like, a nervousness walking around school when they're there. And so now that they're not there, I go to a high school that doesn't have school police on campus. It definitely makes me feel safer and like a weight lifted off of my chest.
So it makes you feel, do you feel like you're a better student because you don't have that anxiety anymore?
Yes.
Yeah. Shiraz, I want to ask you, you know, how, why this is important to you, whether or not you've had incidents with school police. Why is this important to you that you have a school where you invest in things like Amara was talking about, psychiatric social workers and a Black Student Achievement Plan, rather than spending money on school police?
For me personally, it's like having things like Black Student Achievement Plan. It's like we usually don't get a lot of support in schooling systems. So it's like what we can go to get support, whatever we need. And because they know what we're going through and nobody else can really relate to what we're going through, such as like being like not scared but nervous around police that are stationed at school. So we can go to them and talk about those kinds of problems, or just anything that we need in the first place. If a counselor doesn't believe in us, they can believe in us in a different way and make things happen so that we can like succeed. So I just think it is very important that we have things like that.
Thank you for that. What would you say? I'm going to ask you to respond to this, and then we'll bring Katia into the conversation as the baby of the bunch. What do you say to though parents and community members who are now kind of pushing back against some of the things that have been won? They're saying, well, what do you do about violence on campus? You know, don't you need school police to, what if there's a mass shooter? What do you say to that?
That's a good question. I think for, I guess, violence on campus, it's more of like a mentality thing where I think we have a guy, Mr. Ace, on our campus. And I feel like if we had multiple Mr. Aces instead of multiple police officers, I think our just mentalities would shift, and maybe there wouldn't be like on-campus violence or like things to respond to in the first place.
Yeah, so. Shout out to Mr. Ace.
Shout out Mr. Ace.
Shout out to Mr. Ace. He always encourages us to be positive. It's actually like what he was saying, like if we have more people encouraging us to be positive and like talking to us about the fact that, you know, we do have that ability to bring positivity into our communities, then like, you know, touching the minds of Black youth instead of already, you know, enforcing that notion that Black youth are criminals would make us less likely to be violent against one another.
I also want to lift up, because this question of mass shootings keeps coming up. There was a study that the Not Radical organization, the American Medical Association, put out. There has never been an incident where school police have stopped a mass shooting. Not one. Not one. So the idea that police keep us safe on campuses is a falsehood. It's really important to lift that up. And I want to lift up Dr. Charles Davis, who's doing this work, has a whole lab on it at University of Michigan. So what they find is exactly what your experiences tell you, that the more resources you have on campus, the more Mr. Aces, the more BSU investment, the more field trips, the more, and I want y'all to hop in. Are you going to the Black College Tour this year? Yes. All of this has been stuff that's won, right? That creates both safer schools, but also schools where you all can thrive. I know that you're going to Howard. Are you going to Howard? Yeah. You're going to Howard. Two HUs. And Mara's going to Clark. Yeah. And, you know, we get these brilliant Black students, Black young people, because you're invested in. I want to talk more about what that investment looks like. If your parents, if you're young people on your way to school, you can hit us up right now at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. We want to hear from you. What do schools look like? What do thriving schools look like for Black students? What do you want to see on your campus or on the campuses that your children go to? Again, our phone number is 800-920-1580. We'll come forward with more from the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Hope you're having a great morning. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Baltimore, Maryland police have posted a video online that shows people who may have been linked to this week's shooting at Morgan State University. The video shows 4 people walking in a grassy area near campus of the HBCU. They're asking the public for help in finding the suspects. Investigators think that a confrontation between 2 groups of people may have led to those shootings. 5 people were shot in the incident, including 4 students. We're now learning that employment is way up in the U.S., beating all expectations. The Department of Labor says total non-farm payroll employment rose by a robust 336,000 in September. That's nearly twice as much as the forecast of 170,000 new jobs. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Lowe's knows fall is the perfect time for outdoor projects. Right now, you can keep your yard looking its best and save. Take care of leaves with leaf blowers starting at just $89.98. Lowe's knows home improvement. While supplies last, see store for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The start time has been set for Game 1 of the Dodgers playoff series against the Arizona Diamondbacks. First pitch Saturday in the best-of-5 series is 6:20 p.m. at Dodger Stadium. LeBron James will not play in the Lakers' first preseason game Saturday at Golden State. LeBron said he wants to play in at least 3 of the Lakers' 6 preseason games. At 38, LeBron will be the oldest active player in the NBA when the regular season tips off on October 24th. Clippers guard Josh Primo is doing some very important multitasking during training camp. Primo participates in mandatory therapy sessions when the team is not practicing. Primo was accused multiple times of indecent exposure in 2022 when he was with the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio District Attorney's Office is still investigating the allegations. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
You are now in Big Tobacco's fantasy land. Welcome. It's a healthier world where they want you to believe that vaping makes quitting cigarettes a breeze. Never mind the evidence that vaping leads to using both. And if you're younger, even better, teens who vape are 3 times likelier to use cigarettes. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the deadliest industry is your friend. Big Tobacco's idea of smoke-free is a dangerous fantasy for us all. See reality at undo.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCEL scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer.
Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
And look, I was tired, but I can't be tired with these four in this studio. They all crammed in here, crowded around the mics. I'm so excited to have the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard join us on First Things First. They stopped off on their way to school. So if you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm tired, I got stuff to do, draw some inspiration from these 16 and 17-year-olds and realize that, you know, if they can get up and say, I can make it, I'm going to come in studio and talk about why Black youth organizing is important, then we can all get up and do something for our people. Kadia, I want to hand it over to you. You the baby of the bunch, right? We got 3 seniors and a junior in this studio this morning. You holding it down for the 11th grade.
Yup.
I do want to ask you, why did you think it was important? Because you've been actually doing youth organizing. You've been organizing for a while now. Why is activism important to you, Kadia?
As a little kid, my mom would always listen to KPFK and the radio about how there's so much injustice in the world. And Hannah really got me into the activism part. And I think I really should give it to her, because without her, I probably wouldn't be as involved as I am right now. And I think it's just very important for every youth to understand what's actually going on out there and how many, and how it can impact a lot of people. And I think, yeah.
Do you feel powerful? Do you feel like your activism makes a difference?
Yes, I do. I think so. I think every time I speak and I give my thought into the world, I feel like there's always a good positive comeback to me and to everyone. And I do feel powerful because I'm able to release that energy.
Yeah. One of the things, when I was a young person, I remember, and your parents probably experienced this too, that young Black children were around maybe 13, 14, we'd be given the talk, right? About how do you make it through interactions with police? How do you, really survive these institutions? And it was always about how do you present yourself in a way that the institutions will accept. But what we understand, I think about people like Andrew Joseph III, who was 14 years old when he was at a school event and killed as a result of police misconduct. I think about Jaheim McMillan, whose anniversary is today, who was 15 years old, shot in the head by police, right? As he was coming from getting snacks, after school snacks. I know all y'all get after school snacks, right? That's what kids are supposed to be doing, right? But I also think about the ways in which institutions seize upon you all as young people. And I know that I won't tell the whole story, Amara, but you have multiple stories about the ways in which school police, but also police generally, have been used against you from the time of a second grader when the police were called on Amara in elementary school for bringing chewable vitamin C to school, right? She never shared that story with you? She'll share it probably in the Uber over to school, right? She can tell you the story. And I think about how the talk isn't enough. Really, what we have to do is empower you all to change systems that harm you. And so I wonder if any of you want to pick up on that, on this kind of alternative approach of, yes, we want to give you the tools necessary that could possibly keep you safe from state violence. And the real answer is changing a savage system. Go ahead.
I think one of the things that we've already covered briefly that, you know, like is very necessary when we talk about like changing these systems is also changing the mindsets of the youth, period. Like, the youth need to be the ones who are, you know, challenging these systems and like actively looking towards what a just world would look like in the future. So like things like, you know, our BSU meetings and those Students Deserve meetings and just having a conversation amongst ourselves seems so small. But something like the topic, like things as small as the topics that we discuss within our BSU meetings, you know, not necessarily just like, oh, this person got shot, that's so sad. I mean, it is so sad, but at the same time, it's also important for us to talk about how we are as Black youth, you know, how we carry ourselves, how we interact with one another, because things like that are going to be the change that we want to see in the years to come.
So what do you mean, and maybe Shiraz wants to hop into this, what do you mean changing ourselves? Like, one of the things I really love about y'all is you're very expressive. Very expressive. Do you mean becoming good ones? Or what do you mean?
I mean challenging y'all. Not you. 'Cause you're my mom. I got to deal with that punishment. But, you know, challenging these systems that are directly harming us.
So you're not saying conform to the system. You're saying the change.
Yeah,
is to...
and I'm not saying that it's starting with our generation either. The youth have always risen up, you know, from as long as we can remember. We take knowledge from, you know, our elders, but we're the ones rising up and challenging them and, you know, creating that ruckus, because we know that oftentimes being compliant doesn't get us anywhere. And, you know, we only really see change when we at least talk about, when we talk about and act on the change that we want to see. So, you know, like a lot of people have issues with things like rioting, and I'm not by any means like justifying any of that, but I think it was Martin Luther King who said that riots are the language of the unheard. A lot of the times when we do things like go to city council meetings and go to police commission and things like that, which we do,
and school board meetings, you know, we're not taken seriously. We're kind of just 20 Black people yelling. So those are the words of the racist city council member Kevin De Leon, that we're only 25 Black people yelling.
Right. So if we're being interpreted as 25 Black people yelling, then we're going to yell harder. Then we're going to create more, you know, commotion. And, you know, I'm not by any means justifying rioting, but a lot of the times, you know, systems only change when they're forced to.
Systems only change when they're forced to. You are listening to the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard. If you have something to say, if you want to encourage these young people, you can call in 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. When we come forward, we're going to hear more from Hannah Lopez Spears, Katia Lopez Spears, Amara Keone Abdullah, and Shiraz Lawrence. That's coming forward on First Things First.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
A sense of peace, a place to kick back and put down roots, a lasting legacy. However you define home, at City National, we're committed to helping you get there with our City National Ladder Up Home Loan Program. Find the full benefits at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National Bank, here for our clients and communities. Ladder Up program is available only in select areas. Terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS ID 536994.
We're celebrating 1 year of the K. From checking out the vibrant art and diverse dining in Lamert Park to cheering on your favorite team in Inglewood, you can choose your own adventure when you ride the Metro K-Line. Leave the car at home and go Metro. Visit metro.net/K-Line.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here with a quick recap from my time at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. There were speakers Ian Dunlap, Damon John, Lynn Richardson, MC Light, Don Kennedy, to name a few. Take a listen to what Justin Grant, Community Development Lead at Chase's Advancing Black Pathway, let's see what he had to say.
So I'm Justin Grant. I lead community development and national partnerships for JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Pathway strategy. And so we're focused on strengthening the economic foundation of black communities, and we're making targeted investments in programs like the Advancing Black Wealth Tour to help us get our tools and resources out to the community to drive sustained impact over time.
So when it comes to black and brown people, it sounds like Chase is making it their personal responsibility not only to facilitate these events, but to educate and provide resources. So, Mr. Grant, I have to ask, what does wealth building look like for the individual?
It's home ownership. It's having that freedom to be able to start your own business and create jobs in your community. And it's having that long-term plan towards retirement, having that vision for what you want your life to be, and you have the resources to actually live it.
I'm Maisha Cairo. Thanks for sticking around. That was my recap from Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. First stop was here in LA, and they're taking it national.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
And I am having a time because we are filled with this youth brilliance. The studio is overflowing with our brilliant black young people who came by in person on their way to school. Let me just say that in itself is amazing. But what y'all dropping, the knowledge y'all are dropping. You know, we think we got to educate young people, but our young people are educating us. Quoting Martin Luther King, talking about the history of black youth organizing. It's phenomenal. If you want to call in and talk to these young people before they head off to school, our phone number is 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. And there is no better person to bring it to us, to hear from, to listen to the legacy of organizing than Molly Bell calling in from Compton. Greetings, Sister Molly Bell.
God bless morning to you, Dr. Molina, and to my future. Look at my future. I got to put me on some sunglasses. Y'all looking so bright up in there. and I just want to say thank you, young people, for taking your rightful place. Thank you for doing all that you do. I'm glad Dr. Molina continues to say your name, because sometimes I don't get to say the young people's name until something has happened to them, and we say their name. So we say, I love it that you say your name. I have one quick question to ask you, and I'll listen to it off the air. Scripture says, the joy of the Lord is my strength. I ask you, what brings you joy? What makes you laugh? What makes you happy? And all of you are simply beautiful. Dr. Molina, I just remind them that we have reparation and prayer warriors. You keep fasting and praying, because the struggle continues, but always to God be the glory. Thank you, Dr. Molina.
Thank you, Molly Bell. To God be the glory. I'm going to send you a little bit about who Molly Bell is, because that was a beautiful call for you. Shiraz, can you start answering what brings you joy?
Yes. For me, what brings me joy is just being around people I love, and it could be working towards like something like this. I'm like joyful right now. Being in a setting where I'm talking about something I believe in strongly and something that I want to keep pushing for, and just being able to be comfortable with the people that I feel most comfortable with. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Hannah, what about you? What brings you joy?
What brings me joy is being around the people I love, being able to advocate for myself and other Black youth. I think it's important to have those conversations. Something the Youth Vanguard does is have those important conversations within each other, and that makes me very happy. I feel like those conversations eventually lead up to so much work in the world and succeeding in that work. So, yeah.
Amara Keone?
I'm sure you know, Mama, but, something that brings me joy is music. Obviously, being with the people I love. I know everyone said that, but, it's true. We're with each other right now. My mom brings me joy.
Aww.
Sitting with myself brings me joy. Yeah.
Katia, what about you? Lean in.
What brings me joy is a lot. I think really family really brings the joy into everything. Being that familyhood and having everyone together, everyone has their back is amazing to me. I also think nature brings me joy. I just think it's so beautiful, but I really think family and friendships really bring me joy.
Yes. When we come forward, I want to talk about also your organizing as part of the BSU, because you all are organizers with the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, and you're also statewide organizers with the statewide Black Student Union. I am so proud and so inspired by all of you. If you want to call in and get your last minute questions, thoughts, ideas for the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard, our phone number is 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. We'll be coming up with Amara Keone, Hannah, Shiraz, and Katia.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Tired of being locked out of job opportunities and shut down by systemic racism? KBLA stands with you in fighting for the rights of Black workers, and we don't black down. The Los Angeles Black Workers Center is a dynamic alliance of workers, organized labor, community-based organizations, clergy, students, and scholars, working collectively to improve the position of the Black working class. The LA Black Workers Center takes a comprehensive approach to addressing the Black jobs crisis. Their programs promote access to quality jobs, racial equity in hiring and retention, discrimination-free job sites, and they prepare Black workers for employment in high-wage, career-track jobs. The Black Workers Center supports workers who need help protecting their rights on the job. They give workers access to quality jobs and remove systemic barriers to employment. To sign up for free career readiness training, get involved in organizing around anti-discrimination, learn about union apprenticeship programs, or sign on to a trade registry, please visit www.lablackworkerscenter.org. That's lablackworkerscenter.org. Together, we can beat the Black jobs crisis. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts. Hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
And we are in studio with the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard. You got to get loud.
Yeah.
We got Amara Keone, Hannah Lopez Spears, Katia Lopez Spears, and Shiraz Lawrence in studio. And we're talking about organizing. We're talking about all of the phenomenal work that you're doing. Hannah, I know that you and Amara are also involved in the BSU. Just very quickly, can you talk about why that's also important?
So me and Amara are part of Black Student Union and then also UBSUC for the Southern region. We hold board positions. I feel coming together, having those important conversations is very important. A lot of the times, a lot of Black youth don't know what's going on in the world. And so bringing each other together and discussing those topics and how they affect us is very important. And so they can get the information that is going around the world, and then also figuring out like what solutions we can do to disperse that.
So the Black Student Union allows you to come together with other high school students, other Black high school students, and figure out a plan. Shiraz, what's on deck for you? Yes.
I'm also on the board of my at Hamilton's BSU. I'm one of the vice presidents. For me, BSU is like a space for me to be around people who have the same mentality as me, are also trying to be academic force at school. And so for me, it's like a motivation. It's like whenever I'm, I guess, feeling down or just lowly motivated, being in that space is just like seeing Mr. Turner and how he's so
Shout out
invested.
to Mr.
Shout out
Turner.
Mr. Turner.
Just seeing how invested.
Wait, you got to shout out Miss Tyler. Her feelings would be hurt if you don't.
Oh yeah, shout out Miss Tyler. Shout out Mikey.
Just seeing how invested Mr. Turner is in me and in my success, it just is really powerful.
BSU at our school is like a family. Like we come together and it's a family.
And go ahead.
We're not saying that like as a cliche, like we really mean that.
Yeah. And part of those investments are the investments that came as a result of your organizing, right? Deep investments in Black students. Hamilton is the high school with the most Black students in the entire state, is that right? The district in LAUSD. Okay, we're running out of time, but I want you to quickly say what your quick plan is for the future. Where are you going next year? Where will you be next year?
Howard University.
University. What about you?
I will also be attending Howard University. Yeah.
And Amara Keone?
I'm going to be going to Clark Atlanta with a mixed media major.
That's right. Very quickly, Katia, you're going to have to hold it down. You're going to have to hold it down because you are
I'm a junior.
So we got about 30 seconds. How do people follow the work of the Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard?
You can follow the Instagram at BLM Youth Vanguard. That's BLMYOUTHVANGUARD.
And how can people get involved, Amara Keone? There's a meeting on Sunday.
So we have a meeting on Sunday. There will be another Black Lives Matter Youth Vanguard meeting this Sunday at 7 p.m. in Lamert Park at the Center for Black Power.
And that address is 3423 West 43rd Place. So grateful for y'all. I know you got to get off to school. If this didn't brighten your morning, I don't know what will. We have Black brilliance, brilliant black, I won't call y'all babies, but I'm thinking it. So grateful for y'all. Thank you so much for joining us on First Things First. When we come forward, we'll have attorney Brian Dunn.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Hope you're having a great morning.